So in this video, I want to talk about one of the example of SAT math problem. And the question is if ax minus 7 times bx plus 9 is equal to 35x squared plus yx minus 63 and a plus b is equal to 12, find every possible values of y. So we can think of our solution for this question, which are formed by two steps. And in step 1, we need to find every possible values of a and b, which are a coefficient of the x term. And in the second step, we need to be careful that when there are two unknown variables such as a and b, we need to have at least two equations for solving it. The reason is because if I have an example, a plus b is equal to 100, and if I wanted to find the value of a exact value, we cannot find it unless there is one more equation such as a times b is equal to 110. So that is the reason why we need at least two equations for solving two unknown variables. And if I write this down again, so it will going to be equal to ax minus 7 times bx plus 9, and that should be equal to 35x squared plus yx minus 63. And we know that according to a binomial theorem, if we multiply a times b, it will going to give us the x terms coefficient, which is equal to 35. So we can say that a times b is equal to 35, or a and b are the coefficient which is 35's factor. And they have gave us one more example that a plus b is equal to 12, so we can write all of the information down. A plus b is equal to 12. So one way to approach this question is that we can think about in terms of the factor of the 35 which add up to 12. So we can think of our 35's factor, which will going to be at first 1 times 35 or 5 times 7. So we need to think about in terms of 12. If we add it, it gives us 12. But 1 times 35, it gives us 35 if we multiply. But if we add it, it gives us 36, which is not equal to 12, as we think in this term right over here. But for 5 times 7, if we multiply, it gets us 35. And if we add it, it gives us 12, which is equal to 12. So we can say that our value of the a and b will going to be 12. So our value a and b should be equal to 12. But there will be a there will be a and b should be equal to 5 and 7. But we cannot say that a are exactly 5 or b is exactly 7 because they didn't mention about it. So that means there will be two possibilities that a should be equal to 5 or 7. And the b is also should be equal to 7 or 5. So we figure out the value of a and b, which means we can input our values to our original binomial to find the value of y, which is ax minus 7 times bx plus 9. And then let's input our value of 5 and 7 first, the value of a and then b. So at first, when a is equal to 5 and the b is equal to 7, it will go to be 5x minus 7 times 7x plus 9. And all you have to see is that if it gets us to our value of y, which is a constant term, which is a coefficient of the just x term, which means we don't have to multiply x and x terms. We know they were going to give us 35x squared. So we can just multiply the constant term and just the x term, which means 5 times 9, 5x times 9, it is 45x. And then minus 7 times 7x is minus 49x, which will going to give us negative 4x. But the y value is just negative 4. So we can say that our value of y is -4. And there will be one more possibility when, so this was our first one, and for a second one, when a is equal to 7 and then b is equal to 5. So if the a is equal to 7 and the b is equal to 5, it will going to be 5x, and so 5x plus 9, I'm doing an order, it will going to be equal to 7x minus 7 times 5x plus 9. So at first 7x times 9 is 63x, and the negative 7 times 5x is negative 35x, which will going to give us positive 28x, but the y value is just 28. So we can say that our value of y is, so y is equal to 28 and then -4. If you look at our choices, we can say that A is our answer for this question. And in the next video, I want to talk about the same expression, same question, but the another way to approach this question. And this was the first way to approach it. And all you have to remember is that we need to find the value of A and B first. And then also we need to remember that if there are two unknown variables, we need to have at least two equations.